That's gonna be a strike.
It probably just
That's a strike.
Your page just got freaking flagged now.
2 weeks from now, the funeral service of the VSW YouTube page, 83,000 subscribers lost.
Oh, I couldn't put it up there, Vic. I'm still 1 week out from putting up that Leatherface video, which mind you, but with all fairness, it is still up on Vimeo. The whole complete episode of that and running.
Should be.
It should. But how fitting was that intro for Welcome to October?
October, great.
And you know the funny part is, this episode here was thought about back in February.
Valentine's Day?
Yeah, around that time. I was, talking to a good friend of mine, the master of belly rubs, Brian Bayside. He was like, there's some people that you should be hitting up. And one of the names was Pretty Papi. So I was like, I hit him up and he answered me. But then he never answered me again.
Rude.
Until like a couple weeks ago. And I was like, it took me a second. And I'm like, oh, cool. Okay, yeah. I remember now.
But I appreciate you coming on because as a wrestler, I just have a bunch of questions about wrestling. Maybe we can help someone out.
Well, yeah, I mean, your relationship with wrestling has been somewhat different than mine. I mean, I'm an indie guy. You're more in the major. You've been, I think, more of a major league person. And where we cross paths, we've had issues with different people. But
you always bring that up, like we crossed paths that one time. It was that one time.
Well, no, I never knew you before that, though.
It was that one time where I took shots.
But no, I didn't know you prior to that. But let me ask you, how long you been wrestling for now?
So I'm gonna start this off right. I gotta first apologize to the Versace Stoner over here, and do apologize deeply for my lack of communication. That's the best way to put it. Lack of communication. But I'm actually excited to be on this podcast with you two. I'm excited to be doing this. I do enjoy doing more and more media presence and getting more practice and being more comfortable in front of the camera and all that. So I do appreciate you for allowing me to be on your platform and taking time out of your busy schedules for me to talk with you guys. And let's kick it off.
Oh, of course. And I'll say, normally I'd be like, whatever, I'd be kind of heated, but because you did reach out, and it was like, it's now just kind of like a funny story. Because I've had people just like not reach out because they're dicks. I've had people reach out to me and be like, yeah, but $100. Or they'll be like, yeah, I'll do it. And then like 6 months later, they'll want to come back, but they want money. So when I heard you actually were like just bad and it was just a miscommunication, it made me feel better. Like at least people that are answering me or they're reading my message. I'm not just going spam where people are ghosting me.
No, for sure. I'll say for me personally, I am super bad when it comes to social media, which is unfortunate because in the world of professional wrestling and sports entertainment, in this day and age, you kind of have to have you don't have to be tech savvy, but you have to be a little bit, have a social media presence and be able
to. But you're kind of young. You're kind of young. How do you not, didn't you grow up with social media?
I did. So I am young, but I like to say that I am an old soul. And that makes a lot of people laugh because they look at me and they're like, yeah, BS, whatever. You're still a young dude. But I do enjoy the quiet time and quality time with people in person versus all over a screen and through a phone.
You know what? I agree with that. And I mean, if I could, I would run this show in person. I mean, I built a studio in my basement to run shows, but I would have to almost pay everybody's like booking fee just to have them come over and chat. It would get very costly. Because time is money, but there's more of an expense when you have to pay to travel.
Absolutely,
I mean, you could take an hour of your time and you know, it's not going to cost you really anything unless you were working or something else came up. But if you had to drive, it's going to take gas, it's going to take, wear and tear on the vehicle, depending where you live. So I always, I decided to scrap that idea and do things just this way because it's easy. But I know what you mean, like in person, a lot of people I think get hooked on the social media, especially, I'm like my kid, he's 6 years old, 7 years old, and I can't get him off of the social. I can't get him, he's not on, Facebook and stuff, he's on YouTube, he's on, gaming and stuff. He's always on the phone. And the other day we were out in like a fair and something, and he's on the phone, and it's like, look around you, look what's going on. Forget about that. But no, we do live in a world of social media, so it's a fine line of how much do you want to put into it, because that's like one of the most easiest ways for you all to advertise.
Right.
If I want to find out where I'm going to see your matches, I would hit your social pages or that. I'm not going to call you on the phone and be like, hey, when you wrestling next?
I still get that sometimes,
Do
from time
you?
to time, but it's more, family and close friends and
Yeah. No. I mean, but at one point there was a time, if you wrestled in the early 90s, nobody was on Facebook checking who's wrestling. You'd know by word of mouth and posters and calling people.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like we've gotten away from being present and in the moments and looking on the screens. It's
Well,
funny that you mentioned Facebook too, because like nowadays you can't, Facebook is like ancient to the new generation now. Now it's for them, it's like for what my generation, it was like MySpace was first, and
yeah,
now it's like for them, it's like oh, Facebook was first. So it's funny how times have changed.
it is. But I mean, I mean, they're all, I mean, yeah, the newer stuff is like, you got your TikToks and stuff, but they all have their limits to what you can, I don't know, do with them. See, Facebook, I always I mean, I grew up, I'm older than all that. So, I seen the rise of the internet kind of grow and people get into these things, and MySpace was booming. Then Facebook kind of just crept in there and it became more popular over time, and everybody kind of migrated. But Facebook's always like, even with the newer ones, you got TikTok, yes, but it's good for videos. That's not really good for, stories or information or other stuff. So like, I'm a creative person. I do a lot of writing, short stories, horror stories, other stuff. So I prefer like a medium that I can post videos, do stories, write information, do it all in once. Instagram is okay because you can kind of do that. But still, I mean, Instagram and Facebook are partners. They're almost the same. TikTok's okay, like I said. I've made decent monetization at one point in all the major, social medias. Facebook always pays the actual most, though, believe it or not. They pay more than YouTube. They pay more than they paid more than Twitter. They paid more than well, Instagram was part of the Facebook, so that got included. But they also paid more than the TikTok. TikTok was like, they were giving shitty money for numbers compared to what other platforms were paying. Because at one point my channels were viral. I was hitting, million views on some of these shorts, all pro wrestling related. But I love going to
Nice.
indie shows. I love going to places and recording because I started this podcast out of the love of indie wrestling. It is now transformed to something even further. It's gotten into horror and movies and film and other stuff. But I still have a passion for pro wrestling. This time of the year is just very hard to pry me away from my horror. But with the pro wrestling, I got to a point where, I'd be going to all these local shows and I was seeing all these guys and girls give their heart out. And mind you, I hadn't watched TV wrestling in like 20 years or so. I just gave up on it after I grew, after high school. DX, all that was great. And then like 2001, I graduated. 2003, I just stopped watching. I was just like done until like around 2017. But when I went to the indie scene, I seen all these people, and to me, they were given the same quality or the same energy that some of these TV guys were given when I last watched. And I'm just like, this is awesome. Why aren't people talking about this? Why can't I find these? Why isn't everybody talking about this? I was just very confused, I guess. And so I wanted to make a platform that I could get more eyes and ears on the guys and girls that are out there doing, the indie scene, running these circuits, going back and forth. It's not a glorious job all the time. You might make $20, you might make $60. All depends. You might lose, you might break even. But you do it for experience, you do it for memories, you do it for the exposure, you do it for the passion. So many reasons why people do it. Because you've got people that travel up and down the East Coast for the same price. It's just they just love it.
Oh, absolutely. You definitely have to love this if you want to get into professional wrestling, and whatever your goals may be, whether that's to be an independent wrestler or to be a TV wrestler or to just be a weekend warrior and wrestle on the weekends or at your buddy's place or like for a special occasion or an event, whatever your goal is. And my advice, especially for like the newer guys that I train with or that I meet, you have to love this. You have to have that passion for this, or else the when the times get hard, when it really gets tough, like in the ring and everything else that comes with the business, um, the passion is what's gonna help you keep going forward. When you don't have the passion, that's when you tend to give up or quit.
Yeah, no, for sure. Now, you're saying new guys. How long you been in the industry? How long you been wrestling for?
So I'm still fairly new, to tell you the truth. I am in my second year on the independents. This is my fourth year as a professional wrestler. I started training back in 2021.
And where'd
So
you train at, if you don't mind me asking?
no, absolutely. So I actually got my start in the business um, a little bit before 2021. I want to say back in 2019. I went up to the New England Pro Wrestling Academy up in Massachusetts.
Yep,
Uh,
Nepwa.
yeah, and they do these fantasy camps
Love
every
them.
year.
I,
Yeah,
I've been to one myself.
nice. Yes, so I actually did one of those,
Okay.
and that was the first time I was ever in a professional wrestling ring, and I took my first bump.
You
I,
do
I
everything. They have you. I mean, I don't know if it was still the same then, but I remember when I did. I mean, they had us doing, ins and out of the ring. They had us jumping off the top. We could. They had us doing rolls, bumps, lockups,
yep,
all the cool stuff. It was a great time. I went in 2021, but you know, I recommend anybody, whether you want to be a wrestler, have ideas of being a wrestler, or just to really, want to see what it takes to be one. I
yes,
recommend people try that because it opens your eyes of this is what people are doing, and they're doing it, for 20, 30 minutes constantly while everybody watches. It's like it gives you a whole different intro of what pro wrestling is.
absolutely. So, and I totally agree with that. I went in with that mindset of, okay, I've been a fan ever since I was a kid. After I graduated high school, I was, trying to figure out what to do next. I still had a passion and love for, WWE and professional wrestling. So I found the information for the fantasy camp and I said, you know what, let me try it. Let me see what it takes. If it goes well and I love it, great. I know it. I know from that point on, that's what I want to do. And if it doesn't, well, I gave it a shot at least. So I did the fantasy camp, did the whole day, loved it, fell in love with just being in the ring and not being afraid to show my vulnerability and, you know, being that shy kid growing up and being in the ring feeling like somebody, like I was on top of the world.
Yeah, because I don't think if people realize this, but like, I after high school, I didn't have the greatest time in high school, but I wanted to be a pro wrestler. I loved wrestling too. I grew up with it, 80s, 90s, loved it all. I'm just, I'm only 5'8" though, and in my time when I went to go to, I went to Killer Kowalski school to try to do it. They turned me down because I'm too small. They'd be like, "You're good for a ref or maybe something else, not a pro wrestler." Um, so I got into like boxing, right? I got into some amateur boxing, which it's similar but a lot different.
Hmm.
But there's something about getting in that ring, and I think it's the same for pro wrestling. I remember my coach saying it's like doesn't matter. You go in there, you get fucking your ass beat, you freaking come out, whatever. You're already doing something that like 90% of the people will not do, and that's step inside there. They're too afraid. They'll have too many hangups. They'll give too many excuses. They're never going to fight. They might criticize you. They might call you fat. They might call you slow. But at the end of the day, they're not going to actually ever get into that ring and do anything. And I think that's the same about wrestling. When you get in there, it changes your ego a little bit to the point that you're doing something that the majority will never even attempt because they have these whatever resentments or feelings about it that they're afraid of.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very humbling but also empowering experience when you do something. And I'm not even just talking about pro wrestling, but like anything that seems out of the ordinary or like to many people crazy to even attempt to do. When you cross that line, when you become go from the fan and go over the barricade and into that ring, like you said, you're doing something that many people wish they could do, but they just don't do it for whatever the reasoning is. And
Yeah.
a lot of it being fear, obviously, because a lot of people can be afraid to go after what they want.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people will go, and I hate to use it, but a lot of people be like in the wrestling world, they'll be like, "Oh, I'm too old, I'm too old, I'm too old." It's like, I've seen people mid 40s fucking go to training and start up wrestling careers now. We're at that age at 40, 45, you can still do something. Don't call it
Right.
age. If you're afraid of the bumps, if you're afraid of getting hurt, we just call it fair. Um, but we have gotten to that progress where the older person is getting into the wrestling now. If you can keep your body up and you can keep your cardio up, then you can do this almost indefinitely. You know, um, Not to say that there's a time in need, but I mean, you see a lot of older people doing it now, especially like, well, WWE is a lot of elder, wrestlers. I feel they're in their 40s. And then, even on the indie scene, you got a lot of older people that kind of are still there, and they still look just as good as the younger kids. But yeah, a lot of people will be like too old, can't do it. In all fairness, I mean, it would suck. Like if I would say I'm gonna be a pro wrestler today, right? I'm 42. If I was gonna jump back in now, granted, after the fantasy camp, I did a little bit of private training and a little bit of other things. I had a few. I would say I did like a couple of spots here and there for a couple of minor companies, one minor match, and I mean, I it was what it was. It wasn't supposed to be spectacular. It wasn't me, like boxing when I would train for days. But I mean, I would agree. It would suck if I had to say, okay, I'm gonna get ring ready right now at 42, and I'm gonna go and train, just to get the cardio where I need to be. Just because I know from boxing, I would have to do so many hours just to, box for 2 minutes so I'm not out of breath. And just to get into that shape would suck. But once I got there, then I would be like, okay, here I am. Now I'm there. It's like the same thing, they get to the army. It's not really so much going to the army. It's a fucking boot camp. You got to get through that first. You get through the boot camp, now you're a soldier. Now you can freaking kind of ease back a little bit. But it's like, it's the same thing. You got to get that ring ready body, the ring ready cardio, which is even more than the body important. Because I came from an age where you used to have out of shape guys or people that looked out of shape, fat guys, just weird body shapes, but they had great cardio. They could work 30, 40 minutes.
No, yeah, cardio is definitely a big thing. Having a gas tank, obviously, like you said, looking apart, and just creating the body callus from all the bumps and like getting your body ready for that.
Oh yeah.
Is definitely huge. But like
Now,
you said, like, oh, go ahead.
Oh no, keep going. I was. Go ahead. I got after.
No, I was just gonna say, going back to what you said, you see a lot of older wrestlers coming back or older guys trying to become wrestlers now. And I've seen it firsthand from people I train with now, that I've trained with down south. It's obviously to an extent, but it's never too late, especially if you want to just be part of the business. I always tell
Yeah,
people just
I mean, you can
never
have a
too late.
minor match. You could be a manager. You could have a squash. You could be a, whatever. You could just be a ring announcer. There's other things. See, now at my age, if I was to go back and someone was like, "Oh, you could be a ref or an announcer," I would say, "Cool, fine, dealie. Oh, take the deal." But as a young kid in 20, 18, I wanted to be either a wrestler or nothing. It's like either I'm going to be a superstar, or I'm not going to be part of it. Forget it. But as you get older, you kind of see the importance of everything that wrestling is. It's not just a 2-man job; it's a 10-man job. You got 2 wrestlers, a ref, all the people that make a match a match.
Mhm.
So did you end up going? I'm guessing 2019, 2020 lockdown. Did you end up going back to Nepal after?
Unfortunately, no, I did not go back. That was the original plan. The original plan, because live and have always lived in Connecticut. The plan was to move up to Mass. Obviously, pandemic happened, and then during the pandemic, I saw a tweet, and it was from none other than our current WWE champion, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. And this was back when he was with AEW.
Yeah.
He had sent out a tweet saying that he was going to be starting up a wrestling school down in Georgia, and it was going to be wrestling camps, 3 months at a time, and that applications were going to be starting up soon. So I saw that, and I jumped on it immediately. They had
Probably for the
started.
best. I mean, not for nothing. At that time period, Nepal was going through all sorts of changes. Anyways, they had everything that happened with Speaking Out and Brian Fury. So it's like you probably avoided a bullet for that first year.
Yeah, I don't know too much about that, but I know at the time, obviously, the world was upside down. But
So you went
going,
down to the Rhodes Academy, huh?
yeah. So, well, I didn't go to Dustin's because they both have a facility, but
Oh, do they?
yeah. So Dustin's is in Texas, but I ended up applying and going to the Nightmare Factory
Yep.
in Georgia.
Okay.
That's run by Cody Rhodes and QT Marshall, who's also from AEW. And at the time, one of the assistant coaches was former WCW wrestler Glacier, and there was at the time there was a couple of students who had been on AEW and AEW television. So
Now
it
that
was
school doesn't even exist anymore, right?
the school still exists. They actually still currently run camps. They just moved facilities. I know.
They had to rebrand, obviously, with Cody not there.
Yeah, from what I know now, Cody still is part of it. I'm not sure to what extent because I know his schedule is probably crazy hectic now.
But wait a second. Would you say he sold out, Cody?
As far as what?
I said, like, here he is, with when he was in AEW, he had the Nightmare Factory, and it was like wrestlers that would go train there would be on AEW Dark or something like that. They could be a part of it. But when Cody left, you hardly hear anything about the Nightmare Factory at all in AEW. And you don't see any students that come out to WWE to wrestle because they're very picky.
Yeah, so I know personally I've been out of touch as far as students that I knew that are still down there, and wrestlers that still live in Georgia and still attend the Nightmare Factory. I do know that his school became a WWE ID school. So it's obviously tough for, well, just my opinion, it's probably tougher for students now to get a shot at AEW. But then again, um, the other person that runs it, who was very influential in my training, was QT Marshall, and he is moved up from not only talent at AEW, but now, from what I hear, he's an AEW executive. So I know they have connects for both major companies. So I think if anything now, students who attend the school probably have a better shot now as far as tryouts or being on television or getting a look from both companies. But to answer your question, I wouldn't say he's sold out, but I would just say, Cody did what was best for him and his family. Again, we don't really know the full story. We saw some of it in the Cody documentary on Peacock, but again, even in that, we weren't told, both sides of the story and the full dialogue that was talked about in those meetings.
But if you thought he did, would you tell us?
I mean, no, to be honest, just because I'm somebody that is very big on loyalty and like respect for like people that have helped me in my journey. So as far as like coaches or trainers or mentors go, I always try to keep my loyalty and stick by them. I mean, obviously, it could be situational. I mean, if there's something
Well, lucky you didn't work for. Oh, goddamn! Lucky you didn't work for Vince McMahon. You would have a hard time trying to defend him.
Right. So that's what I was gonna say. It's situational. So like, unless they did something drastically, offensive,
yeah, you don't want to be fucking. You don't go out and say my trainer was Joey Ryan, and I owe everything to Joey.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. You're careful on at least on what you freaking are fighting for. I you know what, I respect that because I believe there is really not that much loyalty left in pro wrestling. People are very cutthroat. They don't really care if it stops making money. They just move on. There is really very little loyalty, so I respect the people that are loyal. I really do.
Yeah, I'm very big on that, and it, like you said, it's very tough, especially in professional wrestling. Actually, I'll share this. One of the first things Cody taught our class was, pro wrestling it's if not it can be one of the most unfair businesses that you're ever going to be part of.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've been with a lot of girls, and I've never been fucked harder than in pro wrestling. I swear to God. It's true though. It's true. None of them ever bent me over like fucking some of these promoters or wrestlers have in the last year or so, and it's just for stupid ass reasons. I mean, there's a lot of drama. I mean, and for all instances, I mean, I know this happens everywhere, but I feel like, in wrestling, it's such a big mix. You got people like yourself. You got people that want to be, make it somewhere, get there. You got other people that just been there for like 30, 40 years that don't give a shit. You got other people that think they're going to make a quick buck. You got other people that are still into the carny age. They're trying to make as much money screwing everybody as possible. And then you got just other people that think they're pro wrestlers, but they've only had YouTube training, so no one's getting, they're coming in and getting hurt. It's a very diverse crowd, and it's like, who do you follow? Who do you freaking, who do you even know to follow? Because some of these people, they're so well, they've trained so well that they've turned themselves into pro wrestlers by just pretending for so long.
Yeah, it's a very cutthroat, and it's a tough business. I was told also by like QT, like you gotta have a tough skin if you're gonna be a professional wrestler, and I try to tell that to newer students now. Which I'll segue real quick. So just to finish up the last thing, so I trained with Cody, QT, and all of them. I lived in Georgia for 3 months in the summer of 2021. I completed the camp, which is where I basically became a professional wrestler, and then I had my very first match at the end of the camp in a student showcase, in front of a limited crowd, obviously because it was the back end of the pandemic, but a crowd nonetheless, and that was one of the greatest feelings I've ever had in my life. You never forget your first. So
No,
it was a
definitely,
pretty good feeling.
especially coming out of that. I mean, not for nothing. I mean, yeah, I mean, graduating any wrestling school is nice, but when you say that you graduate from, like, the Nightmare Factory, or, a prestigious school that's run by a wrestler, even if you had graduated from Netball, because it has the history of all these people that ran through it, there's some prestige of saying that, and you feel even more higher up there because you've completed, and went through a place that people have gone through that have made it on television. They're making money, like big money. Sasha Banks became very, very fucking financially set out of freaking Chaotic Champion. And Cody Rhodes did wonders even just in this area alone before he got picked up by AEW. He came and worked the indie scene out here and made a name for himself because he wasn't doing that good in WWE. The first run, they made him a joke. And so, I mean, it is what it is. But, no, I mean, I think it's cool though, especially when you have these, like I said, you got to train with, people that have real experience. I don't dig anybody, I don't knock anybody, I don't try to, but there's a lot of schools out there with trainers. Their trainers are great. I'm not going to say they're bad trainers. They're wonderful trainers. But have they ever worked for WWE? Have they ever been professional on TV, WWE with a contract? Have they ever been in AEW with a contract? I always thought, some of the best teachers are the ones that have been doing exactly what you want to do in life. You want to learn from, an FX guy. You can learn from some guy. You can learn from Savini. Go for the guy that's, doing what you want to be doing. And that must have just been great because they're both of them are on TV doing what they were doing while you were training.
No, absolutely. Go ahead, Victor. What you gonna say?
No, that's so positive. Let's get to the real questions. Your finisher, if you wanted to, could you also use it in the bedroom?
Are we talking about the Anaconda Vice?
I just yes,
I would say so. I mean, Anaconda, it's in the name, so.
You see right there. See, these are the questions people want to know, Fasashi.
I know. I never asked. I always just go for a boring ass interview. I'll be honest. I like to know your history, where you came, where you grew up from.
That's why we get along so well. It's like the game.
And then he picks all these weird shit like. But you know what? It does. It's the greatest flow that I've ever seen since freaking. It's been a blessing because I was looking for a good co-host when I was needed a good co-host, and it's just all the stars lined up perfectly at the time that it needed to kind of line up. But yeah, I mean, it sounds like after that, I mean, it must have been kind of easy to get booked with that on your resume.
So you would think so, right?
I would.
Most people would think the same thing. I did at the initial point when I left. After the camp, I moved back to Connecticut. And, they said, you're trained, you are ready to have matches, you're, don't be afraid to use our name. And me being naive and younger, I was like, okay, cool, I'm all set. Let's hit the road. But that wasn't the case at all. I had to try to not reinvent myself, but I pretty much had to start over. So
damn.
Shame
on, you know what? Speaking of that, shame on Jeremy and freaking Connecticut for not booking him. They should have used him. Blitzkrieg Pro should have used you in 21, 22, 23.
Oh, well, I actually did a Blitzkrieg booking not too long. It was this year, actually. I was part of their Rumble when they were at the Springfield venue.
Yeah.
Not the one in Enfield.
No, I went to the Enfield one this year, but
nicer. The Springfield venue is so much better.
Is it? I've never been to the Springfield.
You think it's like a mall.
Yeah, it's in a small mall. Yeah,
I would go if you would go, Victor.
I would. Oh, I would.
You should go.
Yeah, That was actually the last time they ran in the mall. Was the one I was at. I was in the Rumble for the number one contendership, but now they mainly run out of Enfield. But
Yeah.
yeah, I moved back and I pretty much had to start over. So I ended up coming across somebody that trained at Test of Strength in Hartford, Connecticut, or East Hartford, Connecticut, and he pointed me in the right direction. His name is Elijah Six. He was also a wrestler at Test of Strength, and I met Slick Wagner Brown, the Underground King,
Yeah, I've heard of
and
him.
yeah, and then Bobby Ocean, hard hitting Bobby Ocean,
Bobby Ocean's
and
good. I actually booked him for a show last year. He faced another well-known trainer, Bo Douglas. They had a hell of a match.
I met Bo a couple of times. Yeah, I know Bo
Bo's a
Douglas.
good guy. No, but that kind of sucks though in a way because you figure the fuck I went to the Nightmare Academy, and I wonder if you had stayed in Georgia, if you stayed down south, if you would have been used more down there, and the people up here are just like fuck them
I'll
because
say this.
the north is weird like that.
Yeah, I'll say this. I am actually happy and grateful that it didn't work out like that in my favor because I still had so much more to learn that I didn't realize at the time coming out of Georgia.
Well, I think Cody
And
still had a lot to learn still coming when he was teaching. I mean, the guy didn't even know what he wanted to do in life. I mean, he ended up reinventing himself and then, gaining his life back, becoming a champion, doing all this shit, and banding his company.
yeah,
I mean,
so
AEW was one of his parts of his. He started some of that, and he just kind of
right,
up and left for no real reason except that it wasn't professional enough, in his opinion.
yeah,
Unless
I
Jericho showed his dick to him too. I don't know. That could have happened. That might have happened, and no one's talking about it, Vic. Hey, Cody, how far up the ladder you want to go? And he was just like, "Fuck it, enough is enough."
That's
He's
why
like, "If anything, I'm going back to WWE. I'm gonna get a shit on my head, and I'm fucking gonna become champion. Damn it!"
he said,
explain on hair.
oh gosh,
We hold nothing back on this show. Show's totally just like
oh
explicit.
no, I love it.
It's a
No, it's
wild
fine.
ass show. I mixed the humor blend. We really have no more filters. They've all been burnt out. We got kids. Though they ripped your last nerve out and then just fucking throw salt in the wound. So I mean everything is just fucking open game around here. Um but I mean, like I said, in wrestling I've seen a lot. I've worked with local promoters. I've worked with local promotions. I've done a lot of sponsoring from Maine up in Limitless all the way you know, to Jersey down in Camp Leapfrog and other promotions out that way. And everywhere in between, fucking throwing, the VSW around. Um, Now to these days, I'm really not sponsoring anybody. A lot of it, I've kind of hit my peaks of, where I'm getting recognized and kind of like, what I'm bringing in for new fan base. It's just, I've reached my peak sponsoring same companies for over a year. Your fan bases don't move up and down. So I'm taking all the money and throwing it into film, making some short films and shit. But I still keep eyes on a lot of the wrestling. I don't watch nearly as much as I used to, but I do keep eyes on it. There's a few promotions I still like. You mentioned Blitzkrieg. I do think that they run a good show. I like Focus Pro. I do think they run a good show. They keep bringing these crazy names in. They had Nick Gage in last show. They had
Yeah,
after the show before that.
the question is, did Pretty Poppy like Blitzkrieg Pro? Did he like working with them?
Well, he worked for both. I think didn't you also work for Focus Pro too, right?
Yes, I did. So I worked for Jeremy and Bayside. I've only done one booking for each. With Focus Pro, oh man, I loved working with Bayside. I loved the venue. Like it was just such a different atmosphere. Like that was my first time working in a brewery
Yep.
and working with like a crowd that just loves to drink and just watch
Yeah,
people
because
fight.
I'll be honest, I've been sponsoring them for like almost a year, and I love that brewery setting because of the fact is It's not a wrestling crowd. It's a fucking drinking crowd, and they're there just to be entertained. You have a few wrestling fans over there. You got like Greg the Sign guy and the Southeast Sign crew. You got VSW over here. You got this other fucking guy with his camera over there. You got the guy that whacks off to the girls on the other side. I forget his name, but he's now started to go to the show.
His name's
But
Flo.
no, I forget his name. He's a real guy. He only goes for the females. Fucking weird as shit.
Oh, he probably hated me then because I wrestled one of their females at for Focus Pro.
Did you?
Yeah.
Well, that's the other thing I love about Focus Pro is their intergender game is on point.
Yeah, that was my first intergender match. Was with Kennedy Hardcastle.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. That's a good matchup there. No, I like that show because the crowd is nice. You know, and the food is good. They got the pizza. They got the beer. They got a lot of things going, and right now they're bringing in a lot of names. They're bringing in a lot of big names. Like I said, they brought in Effie. They brought in freaking Nick Gage, Matt Tremont.
Mm-hmm. They had
I don't
Izzy
know.
too.
Who?
Izzy? You know
Yep,
Izzy
yep.
is? Yep.
Yeah.
They brought her in.
I think that the show that you were on, I think I had COVID.
Oh, damn.
There was one show that I actually went to the venue. I had to pick something up from a friend there. And then I started to feel sick, so I went home. And then on the next day, I tested positive. So I'm glad I didn't stay. And then some of the shows, well, no, you said you wrestled there. I was going to say the other shows were at the other venue, the Beer Hall, which is a nice venue, too. If you ever get a chance to work their Beer Hall, it's crazy in there because they have the balcony seating on top. You get a perfect view looking down. Have you ever actually did you end up like working for Chaotic or doing any work with them?
I have not. That's definitely on my goal list to work for Chaotic. So far, like I've done Focus Pro, I did Blitzkrieg. Working with Jeremy was cool. And getting that opportunity to be in front of that crowd.
They have, and their crowd's even more different because they're a wrestling, rock and raging punk crowd. So everybody's into something, But they're another one. They run a pretty good show. They get some good names. I love seeing Cruel out there all the time.
That dude's huge.
He's a big boy.
What about Limitless? Have you wrestled on Limitless?
No, not that's another one that's on my list though, for sure.
It's hard to get into Limitless, Vic. Very hard. Probably one of honestly, the hardest promotions to get into. Yeah, I feel like it's almost a gated community at this point. But I mean, like, at this point also, though, Beyond is really good in Wrestling Open. Have you tried out there?
Wrestling Open, no, I haven't wrestled for them yet. I'm hoping to within either by the end of this year or definitely next year for sure.
I heard they host just like tryouts. You can just kind of show up like an hour before. If they like what they see, they'll kind of book you.
Yeah, I know there was one tryout I think I did sign up for, but it had gotten like canceled like the week of or something happened.
Yeah.
But they're definitely a promotion I would love to
well,
work for.
They seem to get their name out there too, I mean, there's a lot of promotions in mass, you got, I mean, there's NCW, there's Proving Ground, there's, what else you got Ring Gladiators, the list goes on and on. There's so many. Plus you got all your, your stable places like, Top Rope and, what else? Now Ted Good's got his own promotion, Live Pro Wrestling. And all of these have great names and great people. Like, wrestling is in abundance. There's a lot of it. And at least in my state, there's a shitload of it. It gets to kind of the point where either you just get picky, choosy, or you get burnt out. One or the other. Or both. But let me ask you. Now, you were saying the guy might hate you. Are you the heel? Are you the bad guy? You come out and piss people off, or you come out and get everybody to love you?
Both. So, I would say mainly in Connecticut, I'm definitely a babyface, and then everywhere else I travel, they just love to boo me and make me the bad guy.
Yeah, but what gets you more pussy, being a face or a heel?
Both, man. It's all in the face. Like, it's pretty boppy. Like, That's what the ladies like to
Everybody
call me.
likes a bad boy, I feel, right? But then everybody likes a good boy. He's got a point there.
Well, when I'm the good boy, I'm the hopeless romantic, and then when I'm, the bad guy, I'm Mr. Steeler Girl. So it works both ways.
I like the heels myself. I think there's more range in that. It's easy to be a good guy. It's easy to get sympathy, but it's hard to. Sometimes it's hard to piss people off because
It could be challenging, yeah.
it can, because then you got people like me that don't get mad. I like the heels. So I start cheering. They get even madder. They're like, stop that. I'm like, no. I'm the same guy that votes for the killers in horror movies. I'm not gonna just stop doing that either. Who's been? What would you say has been like your most favorite match you've had so far?
Oh, that's a good question. I'd say so. This year alone, I've had some pretty good matches. So, one of my dream matches actually and it's funny because all three of us have come out of the same dojo from Test of Strength. Was with Sammy Diaz, top five Dead or Alive, and number one Ichiban. Those two guys, coming from the same school here in Connecticut, and then I got to recently wrestle them both in a tag team match with my tag team partner, Magic Man, and that was like one of the toughest matches I've ever had. That just tested me on all levels, like with my cardio and with my strength and just my wrestling ability.
Those are two PWI 500s right there. Both. I think Ichiban made it, and I know Sammy did.
Yep, they both made. I know Ichiban made last year's list, and then Sammy made this year's list.
Well, it's rightfully due. Sammy took over freaking, if you follow Blitzkrieg, he done a great job with that. And
No, definitely.
I've seen him, I've watched him, kind of grow over the years. Test of Strength is a nice. I've heard good things about it. I haven't been up there. I don't go west. I go north. I go south. I hardly ever go west. For whatever reason, just I don't know. I just never go fucking to any of the Western promotions. I'll go to Maine. I'll go to Limitless before I end up going like to Worcester. I'm a weird driver, but I've heard great things about it. And like I said, sometimes I do go to the Connecticut area. I did go to what was the Luau at Blitzkrieg. I went to that. Who else runs out of there? Who would we have on? What's her name? Cindy Hott. You know Cindy?
Not personally, no. I know of her, but I not.
She
personally,
runs a
no.
promotion in Connecticut. I'm gonna forget the name unless you remember, Victor. But she's been on our show a few times. Her and Lewis Kimball there. They run a promotion out there.
Yeah, Connecticut promotions. I've wrestled for Test of Strength, Tetsu Pro, Vanguard. I'm blanking on the other names right now. But I've also traveled out of state too, so that's probably why I'm mixing them up.
Well, yeah, it all becomes a blur at some point, I'm sure.
No, definitely.
I'm just curious, is there such thing known as ring rats? And if so, have you banged any of them?
Ring rush, you said?
Ring rats.
Oh, ring rats.
Yeah.
Oh, we get into the nitty gritty now. So for the fans that don't know what we mean by the term ring rats, what Victor's referring to is, wrestling fans that are of a female gender, and they like to, hang out with the wrestlers if, after the shows, if you catch my drift. Yeah, I mean, I feel like just like in anything, like, in the music and entertainment business, there's always going to be fans and fangirls that want to go home with the superstars.
Now you got fanboys too, though. Don't forget that. This is fanboys and fangirls are going to want to go home with Pretty Papi.
I can't deny that there have been some fangirls and some fanboys as well. So yeah.
Well, I mean, what I'm saying is both. It works both ways. Like girls are in the guys' DMs and guy fans are in girls' DMs. They both have their own groupies.
Yeah. No, definitely for sure. I've had my fair share over the.
But they
over
do
this past
exist.
year.
See, I told you, Vic, they do exist.
Yeah, but have you given any of them the Anaconda Vice?
Oh, you're asking me if I have some ring rats. Oh, okay. I can't deny or confirm. Let's just say Pretty Poppy likes to have fun.
Hey, that's fair.
That's fair. You know?
But for a while, Vic didn't believe they existed. It's like fairies. It's like, because you haven't seen them. Well, no, they're out there. It's just, I don't think they're as dominant as they were like in 2000 or 98 or 99. I mean, I used to go to shows and girls would be showing tits and shit, trying to get picked up during the show. But it was the attitude era. I mean, people were giving birth to hands. It was porn star wrestlers, pimps, hoes. It was everything. It was a no man's land. It's a little bit different now. People are a little bit more discreet, I feel. Plus social media. They just hit you in the DMs. They'll just wait. Send you creepy photos or weird requests.
Or weird gifts.
Well, do they send gifts? 'Cause I heard that too. Like some people get like presents or like fucking, it's cool to get like posters and shit, but like other people get like fucking like pieces of cake and shit, like homemade cookies and weird ass shit. Like, oh, I knitted you a sweater with my hair. It's like, get the fuck out of here, lady. Go fucking somewhere else.
I think I don't have hair now.
Yeah, and you sent it off to freaking CPA.
It was Victor. Victor was the one sending it.
But no, wrestling's weird because you got a whole wide, and not that, like you said, entertainment's entertainment. You're gonna find this everywhere, but I don't work everywhere. I don't deal with everywhere. And what I've seen in horror, I haven't got that far yet, so I haven't noticed it yet. But in wrestling, after being around it for a couple of years, you see a lot of crazy shit that makes you shake your head. And I know that I've only seen probably like a portion of what people see behind the scenes or backstage or in the locker rooms. So I've been in some locker rooms and you see shit, but then like I've heard stories from friends that have seen even worse shit or crazy shit. It's not even worse. I would just say crazy shit or bizarre shit. You kind of never know, what's going to happen, who's going to come in, what you're going to expect, what kind of mood people are in. And every match, every show, every day, at least on the indie scene, because you guys don't, choreograph it or train it or work it every single day, it could be different. You never know what the fuck's going to happen.
The old saying goes, we're live, pal. So that
but I mean,
sure.
but WWE says they're live, but they've worked on that match for 20 days. They know what they're doing. They've already talked to each other. But you got indie guys, you're live, but you've just met 2 minutes ago. Guy just came from, California. The other guy don't speak English. And you guys are trying to figure out the match. And they just told you who's going over. But you guys make it all work and look beautiful.
There's a reason why we call it professional wrestling. Is besides the fact that, you get paid to be a professional wrestler, you got to be a professional. So
yeah, but I've seen backyarders get paid. I knew a backyarder that got once paid $100. I shit you not. He got paid $100 to wrestle backyard.
Well, that goes back to the conversation from the beginning, where it's like, what's your goals? Like, you want to be a backyard wrestler? Do you want to be an independent wrestler? Do you want to be a television wrestler? To each his own. I mean,
but that guy made $100, where the other guy might not make $100 after 2 or 3 bookings. Yeah, this guy made $100 for going into some guy's backyard and fucking somebody up. I mean,
that goes back to the unfair part.
Well, that's the unfair part.
Do you have a goal of being more ring rats?
Do I have a goal for having more ring rats? You said.
Yeah.
I mean,
Wouldn't you rather? Don't you think you need like Pretty Poppy and his mommies? You need like some mommies.
There you go.
Oh, some mamacitas? Hell yeah! I mean,
you need like a bunch of them, though. Not like one or two.
Auditions.
You need like 7 or 8.
Yeah,
I mean, 7 or 8 of them.
The professional wrestling casting couch.
Oh, I wasn't gonna say all that, but I was gonna say like the Bachelor, Bachelorette. You give the roses to whoever you want, but
you come out with 7 or 8. You come out with 7 or 8. but then you only let one stay ringside with you, and you choose.
Oh.
And you send the other 6 back, and only one gets to be your actual manager for the night. And yes, take it down. It will work. And you tell the promoter they're gonna find you 6 or 7 really good looking girls.
That's not a bad idea. I actually had 4 of female students that I trained with at the Nightmare Factory that were in my entrance for my debut. And it was just over the top, and everybody loved it. So like,
Oh yeah, I mean that must have even been more. I mean, not for nothing, but the girls sell, and when you see and I just know this from YouTube because my female matches and my intergender matches are my 2 highest top matches. One of them got like 67,000 views, others got like 30. Guys versus guys, it's okay, but something about the women pop, man. So if you had 4 girls on your intro, you probably got an extra 100 views just because of that.
Look, I'm living proof. See, look at me. It's like Apple and Spotify. I do really well. YouTube, no, we see Victor Sin's face. Ugh, we don't watch this. It's my voice, not my face.
Well, they don't care.
I still do well on Apple and Spotify, so that's all that matters.
Hey, that's a good flex though. That's a good flex.
Well, that's why we kind of combine. He does good in Apple and Spotify. I do good on YouTube and Meta, and it's just like bam. Now we just do good everywhere.
And you see the mega powers unite.
Oh yeah,
that's you 2 right there.
Yeah, but I think we attracted the South Korean crowd because we were on the South Korean charts as news entertainment for so long. It's because I just came on drunk. They thought I was speaking their language.
Yeah, I mean, we even had a guy that thought like people were actually giving a fuck, and he was like signing them and saying their names, and I'm just like, dude, they don't give a fuck. They're just either watching it or laughing at it. They're not doing anything else.
Oh, laughing. Laughing, stupid Americans.
Hey, but what do we do? Entertainment.
Yeah.
Sports and
that's
entertainment.
Why I look at this is an entertainment show. I'm here to entertain the viewers' opinions, whatever. It's just part of a show. People need to not take things so serious when they do this. I grew up in a time where you would watch Jerry Springer or watch freaking, whatever it's on TV. And at the end of the show, you'd just be done with it. You wouldn't fucking start getting all, fucking up in arms. It's just, that was entertaining. Now you move about your day to the next form. I was into shows like, Chappelle's Show. I was into shows where people made fun of themselves. I grew up at South Park. Freaking, a lot of people grew up at South Park. I don't know why we're so freaking sensitive because we shouldn't be.
We do Victor is right, Victor is wrong, and I admit that we're all wrong.
Yeah, but you only do that because you end up being more right than wrong.
I know, it's great, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know.
I don't think you've been wrong once since I started with you on that.
I've been wrong a couple times.
No, you have. You own up to it when you're wrong. You will say you're sorry to people.
If I say it on the show, I'm sorry. I'm high when I do the show. I'm sorry.
Well, that's the point of being a Versace stoner. I mean, what are you going to say? I'm a Versace stoner.
I was smoking during the show. What do you expect?
I'm just mad that the place today only had 2 half grams. I hate that because then you have to smoke like 4 little joints. I'd just rather smoke 1 or 2 big joints.
I do have a quick question to ask you. What is the most fucked up thing you've seen backstage at a wrestling show?
Well, that's a good one.
Wow. That is actually a good question.
You don't have to use names either. You could just do it without names so nobody gets fucking in trouble.
And it wasn't him. We want names.
Listen, you don't want to know what Dustin did, okay? Stop it.
No, I don't got any Dustin or Cody's backstage stories, unfortunately. Haven't shared a locker room with them yet. The keyword is yet. We're hoping to one day get signed. Okay. I mean, not too many horror stories to be honest with you, but I mean, I've seen a couple almost scuffles in the locker room, and I'll tell. I won't mention names, but there was 2 individuals that we were having a locker room meeting, and just in the middle of this was right before a show, by the way, and just in the middle of the meeting, they just get into this huge argument in front of everybody, and then again, it's pro wrestling, so is this, entertainment? Is this, is this real? Is this part of the show?
Listen, it's only entertainment till you end up like that UFC guy beating the shit out of somebody.
Right. And we're all just like looking around like, what the hell is going on? Like, are they really about to fight right now? Like in front of everybody in the locker room? Like,
I'll be honest, I've seen a shoot fight take place up north. I went to a show and I was going as a guest. I went with a friend that wrestled. He was in the back room. He hits me up and goes, "Yo, shit, there's a fight back here." So I kind of look towards the back, so I see who's getting removed and who's moving and who's going outside and people scurrying. And I'm just like, Jesus Christ. And I know that's like, okay, they're fighting in the back, these 2 guys. But meanwhile, I know that Cruel is in the locker room. Eugene from the WWE is in the locker room. There's all these other like people in the locker room. I'm thinking, these 2 are really going to start bullshit now. Like, Where's the professionality in that? That's why I think, like, indie wrestling's great, but it's not at the level of WWE, where if that was WWE, you'd be fucking fired on spot. Bye, go home, pack your bags, see you tomorrow, you're done.
Yeah. I mean, depending who it is, at least.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, if you ever fucking laid hands or even got close to Vince, you'd be fired. Look what happened to Nails. They got rid of Nails fast because he got into a fight with Vince. But they let, Brett and Sean used to beat each other up all the time. I mean, I guess it does depend, but I mean, I feel like, I don't know, to the new person, it's just, you maybe you've been around for a while, but to that first person or to the person that's their first show at, they're like, is this how pro wrestling is? Like, what the fuck's going on here?
Right.
Because they're looking up to you guys as ring generals to say, hey, this is, what we got to kind of expect here. And they're the new people. They start seeing that. They don't know what to do.
That's a lot like the Joseph episode. He comes on and starts all of a sudden shoots on different companies and different people. And I'm just like sitting here like, is he actually really doing this? What do I do now? This is a shoot. This is part of the show. This is part of the show here, Okay, all right, it's part of the show.
Yeah, it was not. But that wasn't for entertainment purposes. That was for shooting purposes.
First of all, we didn't know he was going to do
literally threw real shots at all the promotions across the states.
Yeah, we didn't know he was going to. I was like, no, you're not fucking doing this. Is a fucking shoot. This is no, this can't be.
We started off as the normal interview. I asked him where he trained. Then he just jumped in to tell me how many times he's got screwed over and by whom, and started dropping names like no tomorrow.
No.
I'm just like, Jesus Christ.
No bueno.
And me and Vic are just sitting there just like letting this dude just spell because what are we going to do?
I got word in at 40 minutes into the episode.
I played into it just to kind of play. I played narrator to ask him questions, but then he started talking about shit about the company that I booked him for. And I'm just like, well, wait a minute here. The fuck are we doing?
He thought it was therapy session.
Maybe. The only thing it did good for is numbers, because everybody likes controversy. People do like the drama.
Yeah.
That's the sad part about it. The drama always outdoes the good shit.
Well, there's a reason why Dark Side of the Ring gets so many viewerships.
Yeah, but
all it talks about is the dark stuff.
Yeah, but honestly, who cares what Flair did 25 years ago? Do I care that some lady grabbed his dick 20 years ago? No. he already paid for his time. He already paid for his crime. Why bring it up today? He was 20 years younger or whatever. He was doing whatever differently, and that's the thing. Everybody was in a different time in their life when they did this dark shit.
Yeah, but what's the worst story that someone brought up with Flair? That incident again? Or the bar? Remember a restaurant, some bars said that Flair used to get so drunk there he would shit his pants.
Yeah, but have you ever been? But let me ask you something. Have you ever been to a bar, Victor?
Me?
Yeah. Like a real shitty ass dive bar and like sat there all day just to get wasted.
Yeah, there was a strip club in Stanford, Harry O's.
Not a strip club though, a fucking bar. There's no girls there. If they are, then you don't want to sleep with them.
Why the fuck would do that?
Well, I've been to those kind of bars, and I tell you, people shit themselves there. Nobody will say none. They'll just keep serving them as long as they got money.
Wow.
And that's just the thing about it. I think, but I've never seen anybody pull out their dick on an airplane yet.
This is Ric Flair you're talking about here, though.
But I have never seen anybody pull their dick out on an airplane yet.
Jeez, you don't travel at all, do you?
I do, but not the same airline. Where are you traveling to? Epstein Island? I don't see this kind of action.
Bravo.
Come on, but I had to throw it in there.
Okay.
No, but honestly, I thought that whole episode was. I think the whole Dark Side of the Ring is kind of bullshit. Yeah, it's cool to know about that. It would be cool as a book. Give me something to read, but I don't think it needs the new fan to look at this and just be like, "Oh my god, look how dirty pro wrestling is." I mean, it made me hate it 10 times more because I remembered how shitty it actually was or used to be, or how these people, actually got screwed over or got, we lost a lot of wrestlers too young, way too young, because they didn't take themselves as athletes. They took themselves as rock stars and they fucking partied hardy every single night.
And the same goddamn people are in control of our education system.
They are.
Mazel tov.
Linda McMahon is. She's the same one that's dictating how my kid's gonna get taught. Is the same people that destroyed the Ring Boys. Are the same. No, but think about that. They're the same people that turned a blind eye to the Ring Boys. Are the same people that are in charge of teaching your children. That's a scary thought.
It's okay, but if you're a dad, if you're not a dad, we understand. You have to be a father to really.
No, I get it. I mean, call myself pretty poppy, but
you're a blessed pretty poppy. You haven't actually got any kids out there that you know of.
No offspring, like you said, that I know of.
So all those ring rats are accounted for. I take it.
Yeah, I mean, knock on wood, right?
None of them have disappeared for 9 months, right? If they show up with a little poppy, then you know you're in trouble.
Oh, I'm in big trouble. That's it.
So I mean, what are your plans for this industry? You said you're trying to get signed. Do you actively look for like booking for IDs? Do you look for like MLW? You try to go to bigger companies, national companies? What's your like strategy?
So I always have goals. Whether they be monthly goals or yearly goals. Again, this is my second year, doing shows, being on the road. A big goal for me this year was just.
That's why you're not an asshole yet. You're still nice, because after I think the 50, you become an asshole, because then you realize you're not getting signed anywhere and you just get a chip on your shoulder.
Yeah, the grind can definitely get to you. It can definitely be tough.
Especially when it doesn't pay off. I feel that's the negative. Because the fairness, again, the fairness. It's not because of anything anybody's doing, but sometimes A gets picked over B, and you're just like, why?
Sometimes you do question. I agree with you on that, but always reminding myself why I started and why I love what I do. That's what gets me through it. So,
and why is that though? What do you love? Is it the entertainment form, or is it like you like to be this alter person?
I like being, so yes, to answer that question, I like being the person that I wish I was when I, was that shy kid. Right now I'm a completely different person, and when I'm pretty poppy, I'm just confident, whether it be hopeless romantic or, cocky, asshole or whatever. I'm somebody that just has confidence that I never had growing up. And I also do this because I get to show representation. I am actually the first as far as I know, half Guatemalan and half Peruvian professional wrestler. There definitely hasn't been any Guatemalan or Peruvian world champions. If you look in the history books, especially for Hispanic wrestlers, it's mainly Mexico and Puerto Rico. And then as of recently, we've gotten more Hispanic wrestlers, but now I want to be that first. I want to be the first Guatemalan Peruvian world champion. And again, that just goes back to my goals. So for like this year, one of the big goal for me was to main event independent wrestling show. And I was successful at that. This past weekend, I got to main event my first the independent pro wrestling show at KBP in Long Island, New York.
Nice.
And I got to and last year was like a goal of mine was to just win a championship on independence, and I did that as well. Also at KBP in Long Island, and held that title for almost a year. So I guess it's just the ultimate goal. Obviously, is to get signed. I grew up watching WWE. I've always been a fan of WWE, and not
where did you grow up?
I grew up in Connecticut, Bristol, Connecticut, actually. So the goal is to get signed and one day be in WWE, and not just because of the wrestling, because I also come from that background and amateur wrestling, but just the entertainment part. I've always loved film and all
doesn't it
that
kind of
stuff.
like? But let me ask you, doesn't it kind of deep down hurt you knowing that if you get signed, like none of your friends and family will be able to afford to come and watch you wrestle?
Well, yes and no, because the good thing about if you get signed to television, they can watch you on TV.
Yeah, but wouldn't you like your friends and family to be able to spend some money and come to see your front row and be like, yeah? I mean, I don't know. I just feel like
You in the main event
level is so
you in the main
intimate.
event for the world title.
Oh, absolutely.
WrestleMania.
I mean,
and you gave the wrong answer. You should have said you'll have enough money in that contract to invite us all. And
well, I
bring
was just
us
gonna
all.
say that, if God willingly, I'm buying out one of those big press boxes and packing it with closest friends and family that
And some
have witnessed
podcasters too, I hope. You better not forget the podcasters.
We got the Versace Stoner and Victor Sin,
and
absolutely.
ring rats. Don't forget the ring
Yeah, a couple of ring rats. Victor wants to meet. Vic will take your leftover ring rats, he said.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. For Victor, yes. Yeah. I was gonna say, for me, yeah, they can wait outside. But
married.
I'm married. He's from Vegas. He can do whatever he wants.
Okay. My brother lives out in Vegas. That's pretty cool.
Where about Vegas?
He's in the Air Force, so he's close to one of their military bases. I forget which one exactly. But I know he's like 30 minutes from the Strip.
Is he one of those people that hates it? Because people who lives outside the Strip area, they always hate the Strip because it's like it's too close to them, or if you want to go out anywhere, you have to go to the Strip or nothing, and it's too expensive, parking and everything like that. Did your brother actually like being that close to the Strip, or?
I think he's gotten like over everything that the Strip has, because he's lived there for so many years now. So it's kind of like, for him, it's kind of like, yeah, it's cool. It's there, I have accessibility to it. Like I can just go whenever, but doesn't really feel the need to, just because he's lived there for so long.
Yeah.
But you'll go. I mean, obviously, maybe I don't know if as long as he's not on duty, maybe he'll do the WrestleManias. He doesn't have to at least go spend an arm and a leg to get out there.
True. So here's the thing with my brother. And that's also, adds more to the pressure, but he will not go to a WWE event unless I'm signed, unless his brother is signed. Like he also, I grew up being the fan of pro wrestling in the household, so he was never really into it after the Attitude Era, but he loves the fact that I'm a professional wrestler now, and he's always reposting my posts and my promos and match graphics, and fully supportive of that. So But yeah, he's been adamant about that. Like he's like, yeah, I know Manny's gonna be in town, but I'm not going to that shit. Like unless you're on it, then I'm not going. But I always tell him, why not? You know, you're already there.
He should call AAA, say like, "Damn it, you took away our tribute to the troops. Put Pretty Papi in.
Get that connect,
You
huh?
owe us. You owe us."
That'd be pretty cool. Get that call from Triple H. But yeah, that's the ultimate goal. In a couple years, if not sooner, I would love to get an opportunity for a tryout with WWE, and get signed. But we'll see what happens. I'm just enjoying the journey right now, to be honest. I'm enjoying the journey of being an independent pro wrestler. Something that I never thought would happen growing up, because I'd watch everybody on TV, and then when I got older, I learned about the independents and like guys like Bryan Danielson, who was one of my favorites, and like how he went to the independents and it took him 10 years to get to WWE, and other guys like that. So I think right now I'm just trying to live in the moment and check off all these little and minor goals of mine to hopefully one day get to the big one.
Well, I mean, all you can do is keep trying. I mean, I think that's the best thing to do in this industry. You know, that's what I told us. Never stop learning, never stop listening. Always listen to people and learn from the people that have come before. Learn from the elders in the locker room. Learn from the vets. Listen to them. They do know what they're talking about. Be respectful. You know, help out. Be helpful. You still see people like Jimmy Hart setting up chairs and shit. It's okay to be humble. It's okay to be helpful, because at the end of the day, you're part of a show. Regardless if you're the main event or the first person in, you're part of that show, and you want that show to look and do and be the best show it can be. You want people to rave about it because you're part of it.
What about Charles Robinson?
Who?
Charles Robinson used to be Little Nate.
Little Nate.
He's been referee for 25 years, and he still puts together ring. Takes.
Oh yeah. No, and that's what I'm saying. Having that, because he's part of the show. He wants to be part of it. He cares about how it looks. There's a lot of wrestlers just go into promotions. They know they'll never come back, so they just don't give a shit. It's like, that's the wrong attitude. You're part of a show. Just give it your best. Help out. You never know where it's gonna land you or where that show's gonna end up. You know, um, people end up funny all over the place, and sometimes these wrestling things come full circle, and sometimes it comes the other way, where these people go to the other side and then they get fired and they got to come back, and you hope they didn't burn their bridges, because they got to come back and they got to go somewhere, and usually they come back to the Northeast because, well, that's where they're from, or that's where the money's at, because we got a lot of wrestling out here, and we got a lot of people that want to blow money.
And no matter what happens in your wrestling career, at least you won't have to deal with BWA.
Well, that is true. They closed themselves down.
Coach closed themselves down.
Well, yeah, I would say Joe closed himself down. I mean, what else did he do? After we would have probably booked the guy. That's the crazy thing. We would have definitely used him in a match.
Put on water, say, I'm going to throw this toaster in. I mean, that's how idiotic it was.
Well, I didn't shut BWA down. It wasn't my money that ran out dry. I offered to pay the bills. He declined. It's not my fault that people want to fucking jump in and open up promotions. And that's why it's always good to be kind of picky and choosy where you take, because there is shindy promoters out there that are out there just because they just got their tax returns and they think this is their dream, and then they try it and it ends up being a shit show, and half of you don't get paid or you get stiffed, and it's just a bad experience. Better not even to work these places and just work for the names. If they're not a name, double your rate or triple your rate, so they have to make you really want it. That's what I would say. 3 times the rate if they're an unknown.
No, I do appreciate the words you guys gave me.
I'm not a wrestler, but I've just seen a lot of people come through, and honestly, I don't like to see people work for shindy people because I know a lot of shindy promotions that will go after people their first, second, third year, give them a sweet deal, and then the deal is never that sweet because they don't have the funds to pay, or you do see these fights backstage, or you do see some other crap on there that shouldn't really be in pro wrestling anymore.
And we never say like don't sign there, don't go there. We like, if we would say like we heard this, and then
right,
say,
right.
and if you're like, oh, that's all water, whatever. Okay.
But
yeah, my things.
We won't take you down the episode or anything like that. All right. We don't hold grudges.
No, it's nothing like that. But no, I do like to see people, like I said, there's a lot of good wrestling out there, but for every good company, there's probably 2 or 3 bad companies. And then there's another good one. Then there's a couple of bad ones. And there's another good one. Try to stay with the good ones. Try to see, but you're coming from 2 very strong places already. If you're coming from the night, down there with Cody, and then, Test of Strength is another just no name, and you got a lot of good people out there that they're not going to let you work for a shit bum company, and they'll kind of steer you away from it before you get into it.
Yeah. No, that's what I was going to say. Luckily, I've had good trainers and good coaches to steer me in the right direction.
And that's honestly the kind of the difference a good school can make, because, a bad school, they just want to see their students get out there. So they just want it so they can get new students. If they say their students are getting booked, they can get new ones. So they'll just throw their students anywhere, and half of them aren't even ready, and it's just whatever. But a good school, they don't care. They'll if you're not ready in a year, they'll hold you a year and keep training you until you're ready to go out, and then they'll let you go. They'll sign off on that. And it makes a difference because some people aren't ready to go take bookings yet. You don't want to go out there and just get concussed because you weren't ready.
Yeah,
you don't want to ruin your career and become paralyzed because you weren't ready.
Yeah.
You don't want to hurt somebody else because you weren't ready.
Absolutely.
And a lot of what you do in that ring isn't about yourself. It's about protecting your opponent and how he's going to take these things. And if you're not ready, he's going to end up suffering. And that's the main thing of it all, just be ready. And sounds like you're doing all the right things. We are just about out of time, but I was going to ask you, I know you said you're bad at social media. Do you do anything with social where people can follow you?
Yes, I do actually. So, my handle is at the Pretty Papi, and it is on Instagram and X, formerly Twitter. I have a Facebook, but it's more personal page. Not really for wrestling. So mainly all my things can be found on Instagram and X. And then if you ever want to search me up on YouTube, Pretty Papi, pro wrestling, a bunch of my matches from the past 2 years are up there from different promoters and different fans that have recorded my matches. So that's up there. And then I'd also say just try to follow Test of Strength Wrestling, Instagram, X, YouTube. We have a YouTube page. That's my home promotion, and we actually have a show coming up this weekend in Palmer, Massachusetts.
Awesome.
For Fight for Your Dreams. That's our WrestleMania show for the year. So our big one for the year.
That's great.
I do have a quick question. What's your heritage?
So I'm half Guatemalan and half Peruvian.
Who's hotter, American women or Guatemalan women?
Yeah, I say Peruvian ones. They're the
that's the real fire right there.
Those are the feisty ones right there. That's why I like to call myself the picante Peruvian, because those women out there in Peru, they're spicy, all right.
Speaking of all that, I'll ask you one for the road. If you were to get the call from Trips tonight and said, hey, you can join tomorrow, but you got to do some shady shit. You got to maybe spend the night with Miss One Janelle Grant or something. Would you take the offer?
So you're asking if I want to live the gimmick and sleep my way to the top?
If you were offered it, in a legitimate offer and they gave you a contract, hey, you got to do this, but you will get a contract with WWE, which is your dream. Would you sign it? Would you take the deal? Would you
I'll
deal with the devil?
say if it doesn't end up on the Dark Side of the Ring episode, you count me in.
There you go. There you go. I love the spirit. Sell the soul as long as you don't get caught. Thank you very much, Pretty Papi. Thank you, everybody at home. And as always, support indie wrestling. We're out.